Hey there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm so excited to plan December in my journals and planners. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, you guys, I'm super excited to plan December because this is the last month in this chunky Hobonichi Cousin. So in here, I'm gonna do my monthly vision board and I'm gonna set up my monthly calendar. So basically, I'm just gonna put the name of the month and add maybe a little bit of washi tape or something on here. You can see that I've already kind of used the January as like a marker testing page. And this is gonna complete my monthly spreads in here. I'm super excited about that. Then I'm gonna set up my craft planner. And actually, I'm not sure what order I'm gonna do these in, but I will put timestamps in the description box below if you want to skip around and only watch certain ones. But I'm gonna set up my craft planner for December. This is my last month in this craft planner. As much as I've loved it, I'm super excited for a fresh start. And I'm gonna set up my monthly in my common planner, which if you guys have been following me, you know this isn't working for me super well. So I'm so happy to have only 1 month left in here, but I do need a functional planner of some sort. So I am gonna be using this one, I think. So I also am super excited that because it's December, I can move into my Hobonichi Weeks for 2025 because the Hobonichi Weeks start in December. So I have the monthly of December here, and then the weeklies actually also start with this week of Thanksgiving with December 1st. So I have 2 of these. One of them is going to be a functional carry with me planner, which made me think that maybe I'm going to abandon this one already at the end of November because I really don't like this planner. It just does not work for me for so many reasons. And I could just use only this little one for the month of December, which might be good for me. And then this one is going to be my health planner for 2025. But because it starts in December, I don't see why I shouldn't just go ahead and start it because I don't have a current health planner. So I'm going to go ahead and set both of these up as well as these 2. And I'm going to think a little bit more about whether or not I'm going to abandon this one or if I will do a setup in there as well. Okay, guys, in addition to planning this month, I also wanted to share a new planner that I received in the mail from Inamio 24. I'm not entirely sure anything about this brand. I never heard of them. They reached out to me and they sent this to me. This is available on Amazon and I do have the link below. I already have my 2025 lineup, as you guys know, and I have my cousin here, but why I was interested in sharing this with you is because this is a great Hobonichi dupe, and I want to look at it and compare it and see if I actually think it is worth it. So this is $13 on Amazon compared to the Hobonichis, which run like over $50 for the cousin, and I have the Avec system, which is I think closer to like $80. So there's a huge price difference. Off the top, the big difference is that the Inamio planner does not have the daily pages. So it's not going to work as a daily journal, and I think that's just because the Tomoe River paper is so thin, and that's how they can fit so much in such a reasonably sized book. And for a $13 price point, you're just not going to get Tomoe River paper. However, this is also a hardcover book. It's this pretty matte black and it's like so smooth. I love this cover. Honestly, this is one of the best like hardcovers I have seen on a journal. I was just kind of shocked when I received it. There is only the one option. I don't think there were other colors. At least I didn't get to choose which color I got, but it has this nice like debossed 2025 on here and it has the ribbons. It's very nice, and a pen loop. Great for a hardcover journal. So that's different from the Hobonichi Cousin, but it is similar to the Hobonichi Hans, which I have never tried, but I know that they have the hardcover ones. So I'm just gonna flip through it a little bit and talk about what is included in here. So they start with like these monthly calendars, And they have this like calendex thing, which reminds me more of like the weeks. So here I have my Hobonichi Weeks for 2025, and they have something like this. So it's very similar to this tracker. I'm not sure what I would use this for, but it's similar to the Weeks one. So there is a lot of inspiration out there on the Weeks, but it is larger because you're in an A5 size, and they have the Weekends green, which is similar to the Hobonichi, although the Hobonichi tends to do them in red. The green, I think, is a little bit softer of a color. Then you get into the monthlies, and this is where I really felt this looked like a Hobonichi Cousin. So I'm just going to compare with the monthlies on here. So this is so similar. You see you have the box up here that says the month. You've got a section here. You've got your monthly boxes, and then you have the days of the week across the top, and the Saturday and Sunday are pink. Or a different color. At least in here they have the Sundays pink only and the Saturdays blue. Here they have the pink for both the weekend, which I kind of like because to me Sunday is the same as Saturday. It's just the weekend. So the grid on here is exactly the same as the Hobonichi Cousin. I feel like it stood out to me more as like having this blank border because it's got this dark line all the way around the edge, which the Hobonichi Cousin doesn't have. And the dailies of this grid are bigger, so they fill up the page as opposed to having this bottom portion down here. Although, let's see, this is maybe because it's a different month. Let me look at December 2024 in here. Yeah, so in the Hobonichi, you get these like tiny days, which I hate when they do that. So here they give you the full-size day for every day in the month. And they give you these like extra boxes at the bottom that don't have dates in them. So you could fill those with the dates of the following month, or you could use them for other things. So I really like how the monthly looks. It's the same. You know, there's a little bit difference in the colors, but the grid is the same. I also like how on here the grid goes all the way to the top, whereas on the Hobonichi you have these sections that are white at the top of the monthly. Then let's go to the weeklies. So again, you have the same kind of format that you have in the Hobonichi. You've got the monthly colors on the side here. And this actually starts, this starts in November of 2024. So, you know, I might actually use this right now just to kind of get a feel for it. But this one actually starts in, let's see, we have this last week of October. So this one has already started at this point. And then it goes all the way through 2025 because this is a 2025 planner. And I'm just going to compare the weeklies. So I'm just going to pick a random week here. And let's see, let's do the current week. Oh, the current week is this way. Actually, you know what? Let's do a week that's already happened. I'm going to do this November week here, which is not in this Hobonichi because the Hobonichi only does from the start of the year. They have the first week on here starts with the December 30th. So you've got some extra weeks in here, but you have the space because there aren't the daily pages. You can see that, again, this is very comparable. I think this paper is a little bit yellower, but then compared to the weeks, it's not quite as yellow. So it's between these two shades. And let's see, so the dates up at the top here, we have a little bit more color on them than you have on the Hobonichi Weeks. But the columns are very, very similar. What I do see that's a little bit different is the way that the hourly works. You have like very small sections for midnight through 6 a.m. at the top, as opposed to starting at 5, and then it only goes to midnight at the bottom, and then you have the space without the hourlies. For me, I don't use the hourlies at all, so that doesn't really matter, but I could see how if you do use the hourlies, one of these might be preferable to you. You also have the little calendar here in the side. I want to say the printing on here just looks slightly smaller, but it's the same layout. It feels very similar. This one has, because you don't have the dailies, you have these little tabs on the side for each month. that match what you see in the Hobonichi for the daily pages. You just don't have daily pages on here, which is really a shame because I feel like it would be a true Hobonichi Cousin dupe if there were the daily pages. But again, I understand why it's just that would be just too thick. It would be nice if maybe they made a second one so that you could have the dailies, but they do have a few other options that you could check out and see if one of the other layouts works for you. So after the weeks, we have the same tracker here, but for 2026. So this could be for future planning. And then we have some blank grid pages. So these would actually be really good for some journal pages. You don't have a ton. I'm not going to count them, but I would say maybe like 10 or so pages here. So it's definitely not going to work for a daily journal. But if you're someone who just journals a little bit or just wants to journal on like a weekly and have some like longer collections, this would work really well. It also would work well as a planner because I always like to have some extra pages in the back for some trackers for cleaning and longer task lists and that type of thing. And that was one of my biggest complaints with the Take a Note that I'm using this year as my planner, is that it just doesn't have that many pages in the back. It only has 2, which I've already set up. And I've shared those over on Instagram. So the last thing I really want to share in here is I want to do a pen test, because I feel like to me that is the big, like, does this work, right? So I'm going to do my pens that I normally do in my Hobonichi. So my favorite is the Sarasa Mark-On. It writes very similar to the Hobonichi Cousin. So it's not Tomoe River paper, but it is fairly smooth. It's not quite as soft, but it's still smooth, and that was smooth writing. Absolutely no bleed. Let's see here. We've got a Tombow. Okay, so we have 0 bleed, very minimal ghosting, only with the Funasuki, and no smearing. Even I'm a lefty and I didn't smear at all, even with my fountain pen. That dried pretty fast. Let me do a test. Nope, it needs a little bit of time. Let's give it like 30 seconds. It needs a little more, but this one is perfect. So I think you need, a little bit of time for drying for a fountain pen, which is standard. You need that time in the Tombow as well, but let me flip in the back here. I already did a pen test. So I tried very similar ones, and it's very similar results with the bleed through, or lack thereof. There is no bleed. The Sharpie Creative Marker, that's another one to try. Again, it works perfectly. This paper is great. For this price, I love it. The writing experience is practically the same as in the Hobonichi Cousin. The paper, like I said, is not quite as smooth and not quite as white, but it's great. For $13, this is an amazing dupe, especially if you like these vertical weeklies. So for me personally, I already have my Hobonichi Cousin, so I'm obviously going to continue using these, but I could see using these as a secondary planner when I need something else for some actual functional planning and need more space. I also like to do time tracking sometimes, so I will likely use that for that as well. So you will most likely see this pop up for me again this year. But I just wanted to share this on this video, even though it's not exactly what I'm doing on this video, because this just came recently and I'm super excited about it. And I wanted to get the information out there in case you watch my channel, like what I do in the Hobonichi and want to do something similar, but that price point is just not feasible at this point in time. When I first started crafting, I definitely could not have afforded a Hobonichi, and I would have really, really loved to have something like this. I love the hardcover. It's really nice, and it also has the loop, like a lot of these hardcover journals do, to keep it shut. And I don't know, it's beautiful. So I wanted to just do a quick review of that, and I will get back to my planning content. The link and everything for this is in the description box below. I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on fast forward as I start getting these put together. I will do voiceover here and there, and I will also mix it in with music. I also, before I move to the voiceover, I want to say here's a stack of magazines I pulled from my stash to work from for my vision boards. I didn't receive any new magazines right around now. I do have quite a few subscriptions, and so I'm expecting to receive some, but they haven't come yet, so that's okay. What I pulled from my stash was a super old one from over 10 years ago. That was a January one, because I think January has some like planning and stuff that I think is really kind of focused for me for December. And then I pulled some December ones because December is so holidays and just like fun and has its own style. I wanted to use December ones. So I have this one from December 2018, this one from December 2020, and this one from winter 2017. And some of these you can see I've already cut stuff out of, but it's probably been a long time since I looked in them, so I'm probably going to find different things. And for me with my magazines, I tend to keep them in my stash until I feel like I've cut anything I would ever want out of it, and then I will throw it away or recycle it and have it not be in my stash anymore. I do have quite a few magazines that have piled up in my stash in older years because, real simple, you can see I've had a subscription to this magazine for over a decade, and there were many years that I didn't do collaging anymore. I like took breaks from it, but I did still get the magazine and read it. So I have lots of older ones to go through, and once I work through that back stash of them, I might start picking up more subscriptions. I just want to make sure that I have plenty of magazines on hand to do the amount of collaging that I want to do. But pretty much all of my collaging is done in my Hobonichi Cousin, and it's just my monthly vision board and whatever I want to include in my daily pages. So I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on fast forward and start getting this one put together. Okay, so I'm just going to talk you through a little bit about my approach to cutting out of magazines. So I find this to be super relaxing, and I put on a TV show or a movie and I just relax and flip through magazines and cut things out. I'm looking for a variety of things, not just stuff for my vision board. If I was looking through the magazine just for stuff for my vision board, I would spend way too much time each month looking through magazines and not enough time actually creating things. I'm also just kind of enjoying some of the articles and things as I'm looking through here. So what am I looking for? Specifically, I am looking for letters that I really love that I could cut out and add to my alphabet organizer there. I'm looking for words and phrases that I could cut out. These are things that might go on my vision board, which are in that little pile towards the bottom left of the screen, and things that I might want to include in my journal or elsewhere that I'm cutting out and putting in my tray that's in the top right-hand corner of the screen.
I'm also looking for large images. So these are images that I might use for a background in a vision board, like that one that I pulled out that says winter stargazing, or they're ones that I might use in other projects. I collect some of those larger images, and you will see later as I'm getting ready to put my actual page together when I pull that stack of images over for backgrounds. If you're creating a vision board, I highly recommend selecting an image to be the base of your vision board. I would pick something that takes up the entire page if you're doing something in like an A5 size like I am, or if you're doing a larger vision board, you can select a number of larger images to be your background. Keep in mind that most of that image is going to be covered by the rest of the words and images that are part of your vision board, but you will have that background image, which helps to just kind of tie everything together and make it look more complete, in my opinion. Of course, you don't have to do it that way. That is just the way that I approach vision boards. Right now, I'm flipping through the Magnolia Journal, and I believe this is an older one, but it's a December one. So I try to do like a seasonal magazine that's going to match the season that I am creating a vision board for, so I will find things that work for my project. The last thing that I am cutting out are smaller images, and these are things that I typically use on my monthly calendar page. In my Hobonichi Cousin, I make a collage for the month that includes images of things from comfort magazines, stickers, and just different things that represent what happened during that month. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some more music on and let you enjoy my flipping through the magazines and cutting things out. Maybe you can create a vision board alongside me, and I will pop back on here as I start putting the vision board together. Okay, so now I'm getting ready to actually put my vision board together. As I said, the first step is selecting a base image. So I'm looking through the images that I have collected over the years in my stash and the ones that I just collected today. And I'm pulling aside ones that are possibilities for the month of December. You can tell from looking at these images that some of them are clearly for other seasons of the year or for other projects. Here I have a stack of a few that are December type of or winter related. I have this cozy bathtub one, the winter scene with the snow, and then this Christmas tree mantle. I decided to go with the Christmas tree mantle. Where I live, I feel like the snow is more heavy in January and February, so I might end up using that one later in the season, so early next year. I trimmed this down so that it will fit on my page, trying to keep portions of the image that I want on my spread and adhered it down. The next step I usually do is pull over some washi tape to add along the edge there so that the edge of the paper I just adhered down doesn't stick to the page next to it when I'm flipping pages and pull it up. I usually use white washi for that, but here I use like an off-white grid because it just felt more cozy for the vibe I was going for. Now I'm going through all of the letters in my tray here to write out the word December twice. One is for this page and one is for my monthly calendar. And I'm specifically looking at the colors when I'm doing this because I want colors that kind of match the December feel I'm going for. So I'm not picking like any real bright colors other than that red there and doing more of like cozy winter colors. I just feel like the overall vibe is very cozy winter with some blues and blacks and whites and grays and tan there. I'm starting with my monthly calendar page because this is really quick and easy to put together. I'm going to adhere down the word December along the edge there, and then I'm going to add some washi tape on the spots on the page where I don't have actual days to fill in. On the calendar, I do fill in all of those days as the month moves on with images of some of the ones that I cut out earlier will probably go on here, as well as things I will cut out throughout the month or stickers or just different things from my stash that I will use to fill in those spots. I'm using some washi tape to fill in these gaps. This one along the bottom is from Rifle Paper. The one at the top, I believe, was from Ali Edwards or possibly Studio Calico years ago. And this one is from the Ali Edwards main December Daily Kit this year. I just wanted to fill in those spots so that my page, once I have all of that collage in there, looks complete and filled. Now I'm going to go back to my vision board and add in the word December across the bottom. And then my next step will be to select some words to include on my vision board. A lot of people do like to use images on their vision board, and I have in the past, and I do sometimes for larger vision boards, but for these monthly ones, because it's an A5 size, other than the image I put on the background, I tend to focus more on just words. I'm adhering down some of the ones I cut out today, and then I'm going through my stack of words here from my stash to see if there's anything that pops out at me as something I want to include on this vision board. I also pull out a few other words that I want to include just in some upcoming daily spreads because sometimes I don't have the time or energy or even think about going through these words when I'm working on my daily spreads. So this is going to give me that opportunity. For example, that Goodbye 2024 later, you're going to see that I'm going to adhere that one down on December 31st. So I'm going to go ahead and put more music on as I finish up my vision board, and I'll pop back on as I start planning out the next spread. Okay, so I made the decision to just abandon my common planner at this point in the year. I've said this in previous videos and over on Instagram, but the common planner just was not working for me for a number of reasons. The basic size, I did not like it. I didn't like not having functional dailies. I didn't like the vertical weeklies. There were just a lot of things about the common planner that just did not work for me for functional planning. It was a great quality product and it might be the layout that it's perfect for you. I'm not saying at all that I don't recommend their product. It just does not work for me. So I decided that I'm just going to move into my Hobonichi Weeks instead of doing that last month in the common planner. So for 2025, if you saw my 2025 lineup video, you will know that I am planning on using a take a note for my functional planning in 2025. And I'm super excited about that and can't wait to get into it. But it doesn't start until January, which makes sense because it's a 2025 planner. For whatever reason, Hobonichi Weeks start in December. Even though they run through the following December, they do start in December, which means that I can move into my Hobonichi Weeks. I have 2 Hobonichi Weeks for 2025. The first of them is the one I'm working on right now, which is the Snow Globe Weeks. I don't recall what it's actually called, but it has a beautiful snow globe on the front. And my plan for this planner is that it will be my carry with me calendar. This is not going to be a planner that I worry about keeping up with other than the calendar. So the calendar is going to be that functional calendar that has all of my appointments on it for all of my different things for work, for home, for life, for couple stuff, for craft stuff. It's all going to be on there so that if I'm ever trying to make an appointment or schedule something, I have a calendar where everything is on it so I know when I am busy. I also am going to use this planner as a kind of a catch-all, just landing place for notes and that type of thing. So during the year, just during life, I frequently have trackers and all of these things, and I have things that happen that I need to write down in my planner. I want to make a list. I want to remember a specific task that came up. I want to add something on a tracker, and I don't have the necessary planner or journal with me. I have a pretty hefty lineup for 2025, and that works for me, and I love it. But I'm not going to have all of those planners on me at all times. So I'm going to keep this one on me, and it's going to be kind of that stopgap for when I'm out and about or just not home with all of my planners, where I can write things down and then carry them over into my planner or journal when I'm back at my craft desk. However, because the take a note doesn't start till January, I'm going to just use this as a functional planner in December. So it's going to be a little more completed for the month of December than for months in 2025. But I feel like as the year evolves, I might find myself working in here for certain weeks when I need just a quick and easy planner or something I can take on the go, for example, when we're traveling, as opposed to my take a note. But for now, I'm going to make it really work for me. So I'm updating the monthly spread for December. I'm copying things over from my common planner, which was already pretty much set up for future planning. And then I'm moving things into the weekly spreads for the month of December. My second Hobonichi Weeks for 2025 is going to be a health planner. I don't have a health planner for 2024, so again, I'm going to move into this one as of December 1st or even that last week in November, because it is available and I don't have a health planner. I have not yet fully thought out how I was going to set this one up. At the time I was filming this video, it's only about halfway through November, so I wasn't entirely sure yet what I was going to do in here. So I'm just allowing myself to do a little bit of setup, and closer to the month of December, I will figure out exactly how it's going to look. I did do some sample spreads in here just to get a feel for it. So I'm going to probably use that as a starting place to set up my weekly. And then I'm going to need to come back before the month of December to create my key and that type of thing. My goal for this one is to track moods and health and all of that type of stuff, because I do have a lot of health issues and I just want to be better suited to kind of know what's going on, know why, and make choices to help me feel a little bit healthier as I get older. Finally, I'm setting up my craft planner. So for my craft planner, I'm still in my Hobonichi Day-Free A5. I'm going to be using a new one of these for 2025, but for the month of December, I'm still in my 2024 planner. And I'm setting up my December spread. I do this every month in this planner, and it's worked very well for me, and I plan to continue this in 2025. The left-hand side of the spread are my project plans for the month, and the right-hand side are my product tracking. I'll get to that later. So first, talking about my project plans for the month of December. So December daily is going to take up a large portion of my time for crafting, and it's really going to be my priority for the month of December. So that is, of course, the very first project I have at the top there. I made little check boxes for each of the days, 1 through 25, which is what I do. And then my cover page and my sampler, which is another project that I do alongside December daily. And I will share more about that here as I'm sharing my December daily project. Second is going to be project life. I am going to work on catching up on project life while working on December daily. I do have most of that project caught up, but I want to finish up through the beginning of December during the month of December. So I only have a couple of spreads left at the end of the year. I also want to set up my 2025 project life album and create my cover page and be kind of ready to go with that album so that when January hits, I will start in on my project life almost immediately on the new year, and I will finish up the 2024 project life alongside that, and I will share all of that here. My next section is the creative teams. I'm on the Coco Daisy and Allie Edwards creative teams. I don't have any other brand collaborations this month. I didn't take on anything else because December daily is going to take up a lot more of my time. And I hope to share process videos for December daily here on my channel, which means that I will likely be sharing more videos in December than I usually do. But I do need to make sure that I'm able to make that actually work with my schedule. Finally, I'm going to include some 2025 prep on here. I do still need to finish setting up my journals and planners and just a few craft things that I want to make sure that I do before the new year to be ready for that. Then I'm going to create a section for traditional layouts, and I'm going to leave a blank because I don't know what projects I'm going to work on, probably something from story kits, but I just leave some space to write them in as I do them. And then at the very bottom, my craft room redo, which is going to be my large project in January, but I do want to do some of the prep work for that this month because I'm really getting antsy to have my craft room redone and look nice again and be more comforting rather than cluttered. I don't have any other projects going on besides December daily and my ongoing projects, and that is intentional. I often have other projects like mini albums or travel albums and stuff, and I do have quite a few that I want to do, but I'm not prioritizing them in December because December daily really is my priority and getting ready for 2025, which means finishing up some of my 2024 projects as much as possible and being ready for my 2025 projects when they arrive. Okay, so now I'm setting up my product tracking, and you could see me drawing all these lines and things, and they probably don't make a ton of sense, but I'm flipping back and forth to my November spread so that I can remember what goes where and draw all of these sections. But essentially what this is my product tracking. I like to track certain products coming into my craft room and products going out, either by donating them, gifting them, trashing them, or using them, primarily using them, hopefully. And this way I am able to kind of keep a hold on my spending and pay attention to which brands and which products I'm actually using, as opposed to products that I'm just acquiring, because I don't want my products to just stack up. So I'm tracking things like Project Life cards, pattern paper, kits, and stamps. I also have a list to write out all of the projects I complete during the month, because that helps me keep track of what I have actually put in this tracker, and also just to have a comprehensive list of whatever I've done, which is nice to look back on at the end of the month and see what I'm actually making. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Thanks. Bye.